Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another legal breaking reporting. Donald Trump has, for some reason, even though I'm skeptical, highly skeptical about this, has reversed course significantly and is now telling Republicans, however, he is the president of the United States. He can release them anytime he feels like it. But now would honestly be the time to release it. Not to mention the fact that his chances of impeachment have surged significantly, as reported yesterday, to release the Epstein files. Knowing that, like I said, his chances of impeachment are surging right now. So this is odd. Let's get into this brand new reporting by Yahoo News, ladies and gentlemen. The article is titled, "In Reversal, Trump says House Republicans should vote to release Epstein files." This is a significant reversal, like I said, ladies and gentlemen. Now, obviously, House Republicans, along with House Democrats, are going to hold a vote to release the Epstein files. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, the article reads, President Donald Trump said House Republicans should vote to release the Epstein files. Involving Jeffrey Epstein. Involving the Jeffrey Epstein case. A startling reversal after previous ladies and gentlemen, previously fighting the proposal. Quote, "We have nothing to hide, and it's time to move on from this Democrat hoax perpetrated by radical left lunatics in order to deflect from the great success of the Republican Party." Unquote. Trump wrote on social media shortly after landing at Joint Andrews following a weekend in Florida. Democrats and some Republicans have been pushing a measure that would force the Justice Department to make public more documents from the case. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, As I said, I am highly skeptical of this situation. Granted, he is the executive office holder. He can release the files really anytime he wants. But preferably now or sooner, not later, would be the time for it. Especially because it now increases the chances highly of him being impeached for this matter specifically. Ladies and gentlemen, the article continues. The president's shift is an implicit acknowledgement that supporters of the measure have enough votes to pass the House, although it has an unclear future in the Senate. This is a breaking news update from the Associated Press earlier story. Ladies and gentlemen, so what we will be doing now is we will be reading we will be catching up with the Associated Press's story from earlier. That portion of the story reads, lawmakers seeking to force the release of the files related to the sex trafficking investigation into Jeffrey Epstein are predicting a big win in the House this week, with a deluge of Republicans voting for their bill and bucking the GOP leadership and President Donald Trump's, President Donald Trump, who for months have disparaged their efforts. The bill would force the Justice Department to release all files and communications related to Epstein, as well as any information about the investigation into his death in federal prison, information about Epstein's victims, or ongoing federal investigations would be allowed to be redacted. Quote, there could be 100 or more, unquote, votes from Republicans, said Representative Thomas Massie, Republican from Kentucky, among the lawmakers discussing the legislation on Sunday. News show, quote, I'm hoping to get a veto proof majority on this legislation when it comes up for a vote. Unquote. This, ladies and gentlemen, is obviously to bar Donald Trump from attempting to be able to veto this legislation as soon as it reaches his desk, so that way it could be signed into law. Massie and Representative Ro Khanna, Democrat from California, introduced a discharge petition in July to force a vote on their bill. That is a rarely successful tool that allows a majority of members to bypass House leadership and force a floor vote. Speaker Mike Johnson, Republican from Louisiana, had planned the discharge petition effort and sent members home early for their August recess when the GOP's legislative agenda was appended in the clamoring for an Epstein vote. Democrats also contend the seating of Representative Adelita Grijalva, Democrat from Arizona, was stalled to delay her becoming the 218th member to sign the petition and gain the threshold needed to force a vote. She became the 218th signature moments after taking the oath of office last week. Massie and Johnson, Trump, and others who have been critical of his efforts would be taking a big loss this week. Finally concluding, ladies and gentlemen, quote, "I'm not tired of winning yet, but we are winning," unquote, Massie said. Ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, that's going to do it for this legal breaking reporting and video analysis update. If you did enjoy this legal breaking reporting and video analysis update, please like, comment, share, subscribe, and enjoy for more legal breaking news that you know about. More to come soon.